Ancient fungi hold the secret to explosive seedling growth, a secret that, honestly, modern gardening has kind of forgotten. If there's one thing years of working with soil has taught me, it's this. Plants don't grow alone. Long before fertilizers, bottles, or brand names existed, plants partnered with fungi to conquer land and thrive in harsh conditions. At Soilsage Chronicles, we focus on rediscovering these old alliances and applying them in practical modern gardens. In this article, I want to walk with you, step by step, through how ancient fungi, paired with fermented plant juices, can give your plants the strongest possible start. Whether you're new to soil biology or already deep into regenerative gardening, this method is simple, powerful, and repeatable. Once you understand it, you'll never look at seedlings or transplants the same way again. When we talk about ancient fungi, we're mainly referring to mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi formed relationships with plants over 400 million years ago, back when soil was still being created. Plants offered sugars from photosynthesis, and fungi extended the plant's root system far beyond what roots alone could reach. This partnership allowed plants to access phosphorus, trace minerals, and water that would otherwise remain locked in the soil. Here's the key point: many gardeners miss mycorrhizal fungi matter most at the beginning of a plant's life. If the relationship forms early, at seedling or transplant stage, the plant grows faster, resists stress better, and produces more consistently. If that relationship forms late or not at all, no amount of fertilizer can fully replace it. Explosive plant starts don't come from feeding plants harder, they come from building the underground network correctly from day one. This is where fermented plant juice, or FPJ, enters the picture. FPJ doesn't feed plants directly. Instead, it feeds soil life, especially fungi and bacteria, by providing simple sugars, enzymes, and plant-based growth signals. Think of FPJ as a communication tool. It tells soil organisms that living plants are present and worth investing in. When fungi receive that signal early, they colonize roots faster and more aggressively. That early colonization is what leads to thick stems, deep green leaves, and rapid establishment. At Soilsage Chronicles, we don't chase complexity, we chase clarity, and the clarity here is simple. Fungi build the system, FPJ wakes it up. Not all plants make good fermented juices. For explosive starts, you want fast-growing, non-woody plants harvested before flowering. These plants are rich in growth hormones, amino acids, and soluble minerals. In my own experiments, I like comparing two different FPJs side by side. One might be made from nitrogen-rich plants like young nettle, comfrey, or pumpkin vine tips. Another might come from potassium and hormone-rich material such as banana stem, papaya leaves, or sweet potato vines. Both can work, but they don't behave the same in soil. By testing them on identical plants, you begin to see how different plant energies influence early growth, leaf color, and root development. This isn't theory, it's something you can observe in your own garden within just a few weeks. The foundation of effective FPJ is precision. This is not a guess and hope process. You start with fresh plant material and brown sugar or jaggery in a strict 1-to-1 ratio by weight. If you use 1 kilogram of chopped plant material, you must use 1 kilogram of sugar. So, this ratio draws moisture from the plant, preserves the juice, and creates the correct fermentation environment. After chopping the plant material into small pieces, you mix it thoroughly with the sugar and gently press it until juices begin to release. The mixture is then placed into a non-metal container filled only about 2/3 full to allow fermentation gases to escape. Make sure to cover it loosely and store it in a shaded, cool area. Within about 5 to 7 days, liquid will form. The smell should be sweet and slightly sour, never rotten. Once it's ready, strain the liquid and store it sealed in a cool place. This concentrated FPJ is pretty powerful and must always be diluted before use. Fungi should be applied where they can immediately contact plant roots. The most reliable method is using a commercial mycorrhizal inoculant applied directly into the planting hole or dusted onto roots during transplanting. This ensures the fungi don't have to search for a host. If you don't have access to commercial inoculants, small amounts of soil from healthy, undisturbed land can introduce native fungi. The key is moderation. You're inoculating, not replacing your soil. Once fungi are in place, the clock starts. The next step is feeding that relationship correctly. This is where many gardeners go wrong, so pay close attention. The correct dilution for FPJ is 1 to 500, that means 2 milliliters of FPJ per 1 liter of water. Stronger is not better. Overconcentration can disrupt microbial balance and stress young plants. For a small garden of about 10 square meters, 10 liters of water mixed with 20 milliliters of FPJ is enough. A medium garden of 50 square meters requires 50 liters of water and 100 milliliters of FPJ. And, for a larger garden of 100 square meters, you'll want to use 100 liters of water with 200 milliliters of FPJ. FPJ should always be applied as a soil drench, never undiluted and never directly on dry soil. Moist soil allows microbes to move and colonize efficiently. When planting seedlings or transplants, apply mycorrhizal fungi directly to the planting hole or root zone. Water lightly to settle the soil, but do not apply FPJ immediately. Wait 3 to 5 days. This gives fungi time to attach to roots. After that window, go ahead and apply your diluted FPJ as a soil drench around the base of the plants. You'll want to repeat this application every 7 to 10 days during early growth, just to keep things moving along. Once your plants are established and growing vigorously, it's time to stop FPJ applications. At that point, the fungal network is active, and the plant can sustain itself. This timing is really crucial. Remember, FPJ is a starter signal, not a constant feed. To really understand what's happening, run a simple comparison. Apply FPJ made from plant A to one group of identical plants and FPJ from plant B to another group. Make sure you keep everything else the same: soil, water, light, and timing. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll notice some differences starting to appear. One group may have darker leaves, faster leaf expansion, or even stronger stems. Another group might begin to initiate flowers a bit earlier or develop thicker roots. These observations, really help you fine-tune which FPJ works best for your leafy crops, fruiting plants, or transplants. This is actually how gardeners move from just following recipes to really reading how the soil responds. The biggest mistake, honestly, is impatience. Applying FPJ too frequently or using it too strong can just overwhelm the whole system. Another common error, is using old woody or flowering plant material for FPJ, which just doesn't have the hormonal profile needed for early growth. And finally, a lot of gardeners end up applying FPJ before fungi have had enough time to colonize roots. Without fungi, honestly, much of FPJ's potential is wasted. Sequence actually matters more than quantity. Harnessing ancient fungi isn't really about adding more inputs, it's about restoring relationships that already work. When fungi and plants reconnect early, growth becomes efficient, resilient, and balanced. FPJ simply accelerates a process nature perfected long ago. This approach fits perfectly with the philosophy of Soil Sage Chronicles: observe more, interfere less, and work with biology instead of against it. When you get this right, plant starts don't just survive, they surge forward with confidence. If you found this guide useful, make sure to subscribe to Soil Sage Chronicles, share this with a fellow gardener, and keep exploring the living soil beneath your feet. The real magic of gardening always starts underground.